episode of the Y-Factor. I'm Duane, host of the show. Tonight's show is going to be about how to end relationships. Let's introduce the panel.
Hi, I'm Terry Gross.
Hi, I'm Claudette Bellamy.
Hi, I'm Kelly Swan.
Okay. Now that we know who we're talking to, let's get into the show. I have a quick question, ladies. In the beginning of each of your relationships, did you all establish boundaries or anything like that as far as the relationship was concerned?
No and yes.
And what were discussions about? Well, what were the discussions about?
Discussions were about, of course, were you in a relationship prior, those type of things that you established, but you're so happy-go-lucky in that very beginning interim that you pretty much just go for it.
So you don't even, so that's pretty much you discussing the dynamics of the relationship in the beginning?
Correct.
How about you, Claudette?
I'm just going off what she said. The normal dynamics in the beginning, just going for it.
Well, I'm very detailed. I have to know what's going on, and I set my expectations before I even think about getting into a relationship. I let them know what I'm looking for long term, what I'm looking for short term. I let them know up front that I'm a very busy person. I may not have a lot of time for this or I may have a lot of time for that, but I make time for what I want to do, and I kind of give them a lot up front to let them know what they're getting into, and I want the same from them, like, what am I getting into?
So do you all feel that that he, because it's all female, so it's he, do you all feel that they understood everything that you said and were clear on it the whole time during the relationship?
Absolutely. I think, in my opinion, I think the couple of relationships that I've actually been in, that they were clear, that they knew what was going on, and we were both extremely clear with each other. So,
in my opinion, just personal relationships and just knowing friends and professional, what I see professionally, a lot of the times people overlook it. They hear it, but they overlook it. It's like when reality hits or it's time to cross that bridge, then you really want to get into those details.
right.
But I don't think it's really the focus in the beginning.
Well, how much do you tell a person about yourself when you first meet them, though? Because you said earlier that when it's new, you're excited about it and you just want to get it in for the most part, and then you'll figure everything out later. So if you don't really set parameters or boundaries because you're too busy getting it in,
Yes.
how does that work out?
Could be a blessing and a curse, the way I see it. You're not going to tell somebody, hey, I'm crazy. I'll stalk you if you don't call me by, 2 a.m. But in the meantime, you basically, you put everything up front. Those minor, I call them minor details because it doesn't make or break. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher or you work at the grocery store, those type of things. You want to let them know what they're dealing with. But those little characteristics about yourself and how you look at relationships, I really feel like you don't get into that. You just don't.
How do you feel about that, Claudia?
I do. I don't really hide a lot. When I'm talking to someone, when I first start talking to someone, I don't really have a limit to how much information I share or whatever. Like, I'll ask anything I want to know, I'll ask that person, and I'll be willing to answer the same things. Like, I don't.
So you telling me if you meet a guy and you and this guy are having a conversation and this guy asks you, so how many people you slept with?
Okay, well, I'm not saying like all on the first date or whatever.
I'm just asking that question for clarification.
I mean,
because a guy could ask that, or just like a woman could.
Yeah, this is true. And if I'm feeling someone enough to even be out with them and sharing information, then I think we should keep it real with each other. And
you can say 100.
Keep it 100 with each other. And I don't. Right.
Can you all recognize representatives right away? Well, you probably don't know because you're getting it in. But can you recognize representatives right away?
Define your representative.
Well, you know how when you meet people, right, we always try to put our best foot forward. You know, so men, you have your exceptions. You got some guys that are honest from the door, and then you got some guys that may have a few skeletons. Then you have some guys that have some damn graveyards in their yard, in their closets. But they're not gonna come out right out and tell you that because then they might scare you away. Right. So again, can you recognize game? Is what I'm asking.
I feel like I'm a good
And if you do, does it matter if you're running game too?
It really depends. I mean, sometimes I can recognize it right up front. Other times people hide it really well, and it doesn't come out till after those 90 days. It seems like those 3 months that you give them, and you know they're putting their best foot
So you have a
forward.
90-day rule?
I have the 90-day rule, absolutely. Absolutely, because I want to really see the real you, not the honeymoon stage, not the, you know, I'm trying to get to know international cows, and I'm going to put my best foot. No, I want to see the real you. I want to see the whole.
So you think you can see the real person in 90 days?
Absolutely.
Really?
Every time. What about you? What do you have, how do you think, if a woman is trying to get to know you, do you have like a certain, will you tell her how many people you've been with or how many people you slept with right on the first date, or do you get into that?
No. And if they ask me, it probably won't be a second date.
Right.
Because that's a little bit too personal for the first date. For me.
It is.
For me.
I think so too.
You know, because we might not even like each other. So now I done told you all this about me, and we're not even gonna see each other again. So it's going unless we're gonna bang out that night.
Right.
Then you gotta
then
tell
you're not
them.
dating the person. It's kind of like a meet and greet, and okay, let's go.
But,
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a conversation that you gotta have. But I don't know if it's a conversation I want to have the first night.
Yeah. Once the relationship is established, then maybe you can say, okay, I need to see your.
So how when you meet these guys and you develop this interest for them, and every relationship goes through conflicts, right?
Yeah.
How did you all resolve your conflicts? Because everybody handles things differently, right? Some people don't like to be told they're wrong, and when they are, they don't always handle it well. So,
I think that's
male and
individual. Both sides is individual because you have to get to know that person, get to see what makes them tick. You know, I shouldn't really say that. I'm not trying to hurt their feelings or what have you, but you have to really learn that person because you can say they really need to know this, but sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it to them. And that's good on both sides, you know? You definitely have to do that.
It's definitely all about communication. I mean, it's not so much what you say, it's how you say it. I don't want someone yelling at me. I don't want someone, you know, belittling or belligerent to me. Just be honest and say how you're feeling, and we can have an adult conversation, and we can work through the issue, whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, either side, they can say what they want to say. I just don't want to hear it. I don't care how you say it.
Right? Some people feel that way.
Just don't
I
tell
agree.
me.
Absolutely, absolutely.
okay. I'm going to do a plug for a friend of mine, Frank Love. His book is on how to gracefully exit a relationship. Now, quoting right out of his book, Frank writes in his book, and I quote, "Relationship maintenance is proactive, not passive." With that said, what do you think about that comment? Or do you understand that comment?
I'm keying in on the words proactive and also the passive. So to me, that means, you know, is it something constant, something you're constantly working towards? Or are you just going to lay back and just let it flow, like whatever happens, happens? That's what it means to me. But if that's my definition, I would go with it has to be proactive because things are ever changing. You have to constantly reevaluate, you know, see whether this is workable or not. Conflicts, compromise, what are you going to do? It's never going to stay the same.
So you're the person that's going to step up and say, you know what, we got some issues, let's talk about it. Because that's the way I took it too. You know, when I read relationship maintenance is proactive, not passive, that's exactly what I get from it. What you said. If you see some issues, as opposed to letting them fester and get bigger and bigger, or suppress them yourself until they come to a head, and then you explode and go off, which could cause more damage. You address the issue, and that way it can be discussed.
It's a sensitive topic all the way around. I'm just drawing from my own personal experiences, and I've done that, and it's turned into, why are you being negative? Why you like drama? Hey, this is what I see, or this is what I feel. It may not be real, but I'm coming to you to communicate, to verify it, so to see if it's something that we do need to address. I could be wrong, but I'm telling you, I feel it, and this is what I see, and I expect the same on that end. But, sometimes people don't want to hear that something's wrong.
I said that earlier. Some people can handle the truth, right?
Yeah.
Some people are like, well, what you think about it?
I was going to say also proactive. You can even, before there's an issue, just think ahead, like what could I do to avoid a certain argument, or let me think before I speak, or like before there's even issues, be proactive with how you act yourself to keep things smooth and calm in your relationship.
Charles?
I feel the same way. I mean, a lot of issues in relationships tend from money or cheating. So if you're proactive,
really?
Yes.
Okay.
If you're proactive and you say,
well, how can you be proactive and stop a guy from cheating?
I'm not saying you can stop a guy from cheating, but if you had a conversation like, okay, if the guy comes to you and says, I'm not happy. I'm not happy because of this, this, and this, and I'm going to start seeing someone else. Then, or if we can work something out.
Now that's him being proactive.
That's him being proactive, right?
Okay.
And and sometimes we as women, we have to like, I'm not happy either. So I'm going to go to the next level and do something else if you don't fix the issues, or if we can't fix the issues together. So.
Okay, I gotta ask now. Now you saying if your mate comes to you and say that he's not happy, and then you say to him, well, I'm not happy either. Do you think that you all could compromise and come to and find what that missing piece of the puzzle is?
It depends on the issue. It depends on the issue.
If you love each other, you should be willing to and able to.
It may take counseling. I mean, people sleep on a whole counseling thing. That really works.
What if it's sex?
If it's sex, go to a sex therapist. Watch some extracurricular activity movies and figure out what the issue is.
I mean, the positive thing that you at least are willing to communicate about it. I feel like if a relationship is just totally done, I know me, I don't want to talk about anything. There's nothing to talk about. You know that point. For everybody knows what that point is for them. So as long as we're willing to communicate about it, whether we agree to disagree, the fact that we're even doing that means something.
Okay. Do you think that, and this is kind of off topic, but we'll get back on topic. Do you think that we cheat? When I say we, I mean men. We cheat because?
I think it's a lot of different reasons. I think there's a lot of temptation out there, first of all. And I think sometimes, I don't want anyone to get mad at me for saying this, but sometimes when you get in a relationship, you get comfortable and you stop doing the things that you were doing in the beginning of the relationship. You stop being sexy. You stop doing a lot of stuff. You start picking at little things, and instead of communicating, the man seeks attention outside of the relationship.
You know that's a cop-out, right?
I know it's a cop-out.
For us, it's a cop-out.
I know it's a cop-out.
Right?
I don't think it's the right way to handle things, but that's just my observation of what happens and the excuses that I've been given. So,
and then not only that, doing the things you used to do, but what about you start doing new things that doesn't fit into that box that
Ladies, I'm gonna drop
you
a bomb
started?
down in a minute. You know why we cheat?
Oh, you had an answer?
Because we want to.
Plain and simple.
Bottom line.
well, yeah.
Bottom line. You got to grow up before you stop that kind of behavior.
Correct.
I agree with
Men
you.
cheat because they want to.
I agree.
Because we can.
I agree.
Your shortcomings shouldn't have anything to do with my loyalty.
Right.
Bottom line.
I feel the same way.
I feel the same way. I totally agree.
Let me ask you this. Do any of you all go into a relationship knowing that it's doomed from the day?
I've wasted a lot of time.
And please
actually.
answer that question honestly, because I know for a fact that I have done it.
Yeah.
I already knew that when I started seeing this woman, it wasn't going to work, but I was on a mission. Seek and destroy. So if we do it as men, women do it too. I know you do because it's human nature.
Yeah.
People are just people.
I call it fairy tale time, because you may know, and not that you're going saying, I'm going to change him, you know, he love me, and, you know, this is going to work. He's going to stop doing all those things that you know that you put yourself in a situation in the beginning. But you just want to be just that proactive again. I'm proactive. I believe this is going to work. Things can change. We can move forward. You know, I'm destined for this.
One of the biggest things that I think that we people, men and women, make mistakes when we call ourselves going into these relationships that we know they're doomed from day one. We think that we're going to change them with sex. I'm going to drop this bomb on him, and I'm going to make his toes curl. I'm going to put it on her so good her hair going to frizz up. You know the lies we tell ourselves, right?
Okay.
Hopefully, hoping that alone is going to sustain a relationship. When we know better. Even the best sex in the world gets old. And if all you're basing a relationship on is sex, you won't have much of a relationship.
Well, that's why a lot of short-term relationships turn long-term, because some people get stuck for sex only. Like,
say what now?
That's why sometimes sex can make a short-term a relationship that's supposed to be short-term end up being a little bit longer than
Expand
it's
on
supposed
that.
to be. People get stuck, like, unless you think it's love, when really you're just in love with one thing, and that can keep you there.
You agree with that, Terry?
I do, but along with that, I know me, I'm a little bit older and experienced in terms of my experiences, and I don't look at it like sex is what sustains them. Once you get those details in the beginning, yeah, you start looking for little outlets as to, oh, I heard him say his ex-wife or his baby mother don't cook. You know, I cook. You know, you start looking for little things that you know that helps build a relationship.
True, though.
You know, and
That's
you
that old
said
school.
it. Yeah.
That's that old school juju work,
Yeah,
though.
I mean, you have to, you know, oh, you know, my last girlfriend, you know, she never used to listen to me, you know, and it's like, I'm listening, even if you're not, but I'm listening. You
But
know,
isn't that
so
that
it's like-
representative I was talking about earlier? Because
Yes.
you really don't care. You doing it to draw them in, right?
That's true. That's
Kelly?
true.
See, I just I agree that sometimes we both put on some type of fronts because we want, even if it's not really a front, we really do cook, we really do clean. We kind of put it out there, and you know, we kind of put it out there sooner so that they can kind of draw into us. Because I mean, like I said before, it's so much temptation. It's so difficult to.
But temptation is going to always be out there.
Right.
Temptation is going to be always out there for you. Temptation is going to be out there for you and me.
Absolutely.
Temptation is going to be there. But I think that if you truly love a person, and I am a person that's just in my old age, just really starting to understand that. You know, if you truly love a person, although the temptations might be there, you're going to do the right thing by that person because you don't want to ever hurt people. By the way, ladies, we never want to hurt people. Men never ever mean to hurt people.
Speak for
We
yourself.
don't. We don't.
Okay.
We don't ever want to be the bad guy.
Okay.
But we just sometimes we just do what we do.
I'm not buying that.
You don't believe it?
Oh no, definitely
I don't.
not.
You think that guys act intensely going in a relationship saying I'm gonna meet this girl and I'm gonna hurt her.
I don't think
I think
so.
they use us.
We
sometimes.
don't do that.
I do.
That would be like saying that every woman meets a man and her intent is to I'm gonna make this man my husband.
But you also know what tendencies it will take to hurt that person. So if you know that, why even go down that road? You know that it will
What you're
cause
saying
it.
is, why would a man, if a man truly love a person, why would he cheat? Why would he do something like that, right?
Correct.
Selfish.
And then when they see they
He ain't thinking about you. He thinking about him.
So,
A man cheating don't have nothing to do with how much he loved the woman he's with.
no sympathy
It's
for me.
about growth and maturity.
Correct. Right.
And not understanding how to truly love a person.
Okay.
And that's truly what it is. But let me ask you this. How do you know when it's time for that relationship to end? And please don't say when the sex ain't good no more. Because you don't want to say you stay with him because the sex is
I
good.
said that's a lot of people's reason.
Well, that ain't true. That's what a lot of people say. Oh, okay.
Everybody but me.
How do you know, though?
I think for me, when your goals and your aspirations and the growth that you're trying to take is no longer being met, your emotional needs are no longer being met by that person, and you can no longer come to any type of agreement as to where you're going to go in the relationship. And I think at that time it's time, or if it's abusive, or it's just, the person just won't stop cheating, he just won't stop, he or she.
Is that a deal breaker?
Cheating?
Cheating?
Absolutely.
For me, it's not.
It's absolutely. If you cheat on me, we're done. Okay. Completely.
At the age I am now, yes, it is definitely a deal breaker.
Well, how about how do you know when a relationship is going to end? How do you know when the first question, I'm sorry. I threw two questions in there, but the first question.
Well, the last one I just got out of, well, not just, but a long time ago. It was because, that's what I was saying. I knew it was doomed kind of from the beginning. And then once you just get tired of, I was just tired of the same things, arguing about the same things, being mad, miserable, stuck. And I felt like I grew up a lot in 3 years, and you're still stuck in the same place. I was just done, and I deserve better. And then I got a new respect for myself. So, yeah, I knew it.
I think when you stop nurturing one another, it's time to end it, because things that stand strong to me is respect and loyalty. Love, you think conquers all, but I don't believe it does. It takes more than just love, and I can love you from afar. I don't have to be with you to love you. So it's those things that mean a lot. Are you supportive of me? Are you still caring? You could hate my guts because you don't like the fact that I went out to the club Friday night with my girls, but you know the type of person that I am.
I'm glad you mentioned your girls. Let me ask you this. Do you have discussions with your girlfriends or your relatives or things like that, talking about what your expectations are in relationships, right? Because sometimes we can have our expectations so high that they're unrealistic. And sometimes our friends and relatives can bring us back down to reality, or sometimes they can shoot us a little bit far in that atmosphere because they are a little bit unrealistic too. So do you discuss them with your friends and family?
I have, but I learned that I shouldn't. I believe that I shouldn't, as well as not judge them on theirs. Just personally speaking, you need someone to talk to, or this is what I expect from this person. And then on the outside in, they're looking in at your relationship and they're judging, even though they mean not to, because they mean you well. But you can't. You're not in a relationship. It's two people, and that's who should do it. And in terms of me looking in on friends, and what their expectations are in the relationship, I'm like, that's why she don't have no man, That's why she ain't getting none, because, she looking for Mr. Right, and or he has to be 100% perfect. He got to go to church, and he got to do this and that. And I'm like, you're not even where you want to be in life, so how can you expect that from someone else?
It's always a growth process, right? Yeah, how about you, Claudette?
Can you repeat the question?
The question is, do you discuss your relationships or your expectations of relationships with friends and family? Pretty much.
To an extent, some things. But you still have to judge, go off what you feel yourself. Some people, because some girls will be like, every man cheats. Like, you're not going to find a man that doesn't.
Every man don't cheat.
No, I'm saying a lot of females think that way, and they'll think if he's doing a certain amount for you, or you're just supposed to accept it,
Saying that every man cheats will be like saying every woman can cook.
Right.
Yeah, I know a lot of females think that.
We all know that that's not true.
Right.
Because there's some brothers out here that don't cheat on their ladies. Let me ask you, did I give you a chance to ask that question?
I didn't, but my experience, I don't tell my girlfriends everything because I don't want their opinions clouding my relationship. If I have a problem, I talk to the person I'm with. And then my father is my best friend. I talk to him a lot about Not every detail, because I don't want him to know everything, but I get his advice if I feel like I've done something wrong. So.
All right. I got 2 questions. I'm gonna make one of them real quick.
Okay.
But I really need to get this in because I feel it's important. This question is, do you ever go to your friends to discuss, to get a feel on how he really feels about you? Is he really into you? You know, when you're in your relationship and you think the relationship is heading down the road to destruction, we all have, our mates have friends, and we all friends with our mates' friends. Do you ever discuss your relationship with their friends? Or do you think it's a good idea?
Oh.
Nope, I think it's biased.
It's biased?
Dude,
I
it's always
believe.
gonna be there.
All right, well, let me ask you this. How did you or your mate end the last relationship? And was it your fault? Was it his fault? Or was it collectively you all's fault? I wanted to know.
Right, something back.
Oh my,
That's a good one.
That's a good one. My last relationship was my marriage, and I was married for 10 years. In the relationship for 12 years, and we had 4 kids together.
Mm-hmm.
It ended with me just having to, sit down and have a conversation with him. Like, this is no longer healthy for me. It's no longer healthy for our children, and I can't do it anymore. So we're going to have to divide up our assets. We're going to have to, and he came back to me and said, well, let's try counseling. So I said, okay, fine. We tried counseling, and at that point, the relationship was so damaged that, I went ahead and took the proper steps, did my pros and cons list, and said, I have to go.
Wait a minute, hold on. You got the 90-day rule, and you do the pros and cons
I did the pros
list?
and cons list. I tried not to make.
You watch too much How to
No,
How Did I Get
no.
not How Did I Get Married. What's the other one?
Isn't that the one?
No.
No,
Think Like a Man, Act
Think
Like a
Man.
Woman.
No,
whatever,
this was
whatever
before
that
Think
movie
Like a
is.
Man. I try not to make emotional decisions because
Too
when
much
you're
Steve Harvey,
emotional, seriously, I get this from my father. He told me about this
Okay.
back
Is
before.
he Steve Harvey?
No, he's not. He always says, pumpkins, before you make a decision, really think about it. Really think about, are you going to be okay if you leave? What are your plans? How are you going to do what you're going to do, and do you have the right support? So that's how I make all of my decisions. I write out a pros and cons list for everything.
Okay.
Good, bad, or indifferent. So.
On you.
It was just I kept saying it's over, and then going back, kept saying like I'm done, and then the last time it was
Then
really
he sat
like
you down and you changed
no.
your mind.
And then I just blocked the number the last time, and then really I unblocked it, but I really stopped.
You said you blocked it, then you unblocked it?
Yeah, but and then I really did really sent a long text.
Oh,
It was basically
you broke
like,
up
I'm
through a
done.
text?
I mean, it was
How
going on back
tacky
and
is
forth
that?
for so long. So my last text was like, basically, I'm done. Like, don't call, don't text, don't nothing. And
Frank's gonna get you.
I mean, who? What?
Frank Love.
No,
A text?
No,
I
because
thought
you
men
can
did
only
that.
go back and forth, but so much. It's no more need to talk in person and let's see. It's no more needed.
Okay, so now America, we know it's okay to break up with somebody over text messages.
After the 10th time.
Go ahead, T. Go ahead.
For me, I'm always all over the place. So in terms of ending a relationship, first I had to define, was I really in a relationship? And that was that. And I realized that I really wasn't. And that's why that one ended the way it did. Let's just say in the woods, and I shouldn't have been there. Right now, I'm currently in a relationship, reevaluating, should I be in a relationship? Mm-hmm. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult.
Sometimes the best thing in the world to do is just sit still. I can't even believe I'm saying it. If you gotta know me to understand. I can't even believe I'm saying it. But sometimes the best thing in the world to do is just sit still. And when you sit still and and I ain't no Buddhist or Yoda or nothing like that, just let the universe work for you, things seem to always work themselves out. Because when you go looking for stuff and you go rushing things, you always seem to get more than what you bargained for. But sometimes when you just sit still and focus on you and make that thing and make it internal, you'd be surprised at how clear things start to become. You know, the clarity of some situations. And then you realize not to use but your pros and your cons. And it's, you figure it out.
Let it happen naturally.
Yep, very true.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Y-Factor. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us at theyfactorshow@gmail.com. Thank you and have a good night. Good job, ladies.